Okay, but if we continue on that thought, what's next? I mean, like, if the rules that we have right now do not or should not apply to countries that for sure have been suffered through those rules and through what have been done to them, do we just wait for new rules to fall into place, or who's gonna check?
Well, I can take a go for it. I can make a go for it. I think what we really need to do is that those who were in charge till now, we need to pension them off. They need to be retired. They've done a good job over the last 75 years. Now we need new faces, new voices, new blood. And I'll give you an example, a working example. If you look at the two G20 presidencies of the last 2 years, Indonesian and Indian, and now of course you have the Brazilian who are in charge, but we haven't reached the outcome yet. But if you look at the Indonesian and Indian presidencies, I think they were a remarkable effort on diplomacy, where in a polarized world, where we couldn't agree on anything, both Indonesia and India could bring everyone into the room and put a consensus document or an outcome document or an ambitious outcome document that drives the world forward on critical issues around SDGs, around energy, around finance, around economic stability, around certain other questions. It's time for new voices to enter the room. They can do it. I don't think the P5 or the G7 have that capacity to do it anymore. You need the Indonesians, you need the Brazilians, you need the Indians, you need them on the top table.
But the new Indian president is not very much a very new voice, is he?
Sorry?
The president of India is not very much a new voice.
The presence of India?
Yeah.
It's very new. You know, what you...
I think she means Prime Minister Modi.
Oh, the Prime Minister of India.
Yeah.
Is like 200 years old.
Oh.
That's not what I meant, but he's in charge for quite a long time.
No, I mean, that's not my point. I'm talking about India as an actor, not the Indian Prime Minister as within an actor in India. I'm talking about India as a player on the global stage. It's a very new phenomenon. I would argue that it's only at the turn of the century with the civil nuclear agreement.
But then who's gonna be, like, maybe you find an example. Who should be this new voice?
I have just told you that it's time to dismantle the P5 and have a new arrangement.
No, like a real name.
I just told you 3 names. I think it's time to bring a few countries from Africa, and we can think about Nigeria, South Africa. We can pick up a couple from that continent. You have India, you have Brazil, you have countries such as Germany, for example, by the way, even from the old continent. That why should the French and British be speaking on behalf of this continent? Or maybe you need to have an EU voice, a unified EU voice on that council. It's time to get the two out, and certainly bring in the Japanese and bring in the Indonesians who are...
That's going to be a big discussion table.
10 or 11 people, right?
Okay.
That's not that big for a world that is now 8 billion people. You had 5 people running a world when there were barely a handful of countries that were independent and free.
So
you did want a controversial panel.
I'm super happy about this. I'm just trying to find a way to, like, make sure that whatever we find at the end of this panel will actually get out, and we actually make it like something that we can deal with in normal life.
I mean, look. Let me just add something. If you read the recent IMF report, and now I'm coming back to, since this is a business forum, let's talk money. Look, the report suggests that over half, close to 60% of all global growth is now being contributed by countries in the developing and emerging world. So China, India, parts of Africa, Asia, they are contributing 2/3 of global growth, and this is going to remain a trend line for a long time. This is going to be the reality. They are the custodians of your continuing prosperity, even in this continent. Now, it is important that those who are contributing such large amounts to the world's stability and growth need to have a say in the table. Instead, what do we see? What we see is that global financial flows are still decided by 3 capitals or 4 capitals, most of them in Europe and US. Right? It's New York, London, Paris, and if you want to count a couple of regulatory bodies in Switzerland, it's they who decide how money flows. Climate action is happening in India, Africa, Latin America, and yet climate finance remains concentrated in Europe. You know,
and whose fault is this?
Yours. It's your fault. I mean, look, if you control the bank and you don't allow financial flows to cater to growth potential, it's your fault. If I was sitting on the banks, if I was sitting on the taps of money, and if I was controlling those taps, I would have said it's my fault. If there's an unequal financial architecture, if there is a perverse financial architecture, you have to blame the managers of that architecture. The Paris Club is to blame, period.
But
There's no but. You are to blame. Now, what do we do about it? I'm not saying dismantle the architecture. I am saying, yes, it is time to create partnerships with others and expand it, enlarge it.
You are talking about, like you said, you are talking about system that grew over years, centuries, and you can say it's the people who are sitting on there now are to blame, but you could also say maybe it's time to change the system systematically, like you said.
I'm saying that itself. You know, if that gives you relief, let's do it. It's the same thing. Let's change the system.
Okay, and again, because you've also been speaking to a lot of countries from the global south, what would be a good next step to actually change that system where there isn't and the thing is I completely do feel like everyone agrees with you that people like countries that have not been sitting on the table enough do need a voice that is louder than it is right now.
Okay, once again, thanks for making me seem cool. I guess, there is only one Samir Saran, but I'm really enjoying this because that's the voice of the Global South that I keep hearing wherever I go. Those are the points. And we sit in our silo and we just ignore it. And at some point it'll come back to bite us. There is, however, other side to this discussion. One thing that unites the Global South is this opposition, justified opposition to the current system. One thing that divides them is a vision of the future. And there are very few countries in the Global South that beyond the occasional fantastic G20 presidency actually come up with concrete proposals, put in the investments, the diplomatic power to move things forward. The West, for lack of a better term, has made some proposals. Reform of the global financial architecture to start off with. I'm absolutely with Samir that we need to change things to make global governance mechanisms attractive to the Global South, create stakeholders, pull them along. But it's not enough to just be against the current order. You need to present concrete proposals for the way forward. Some countries have done that. The Indian G20 presidency has done that. They have added the African Union to the G20. They've had other success stories, but it's not enough. Germany, the European Union, the West invests billions and billions in the diplomatic machines that keep the system running. And where are the Brazilians? Where are the South Africans? Where are those that are shouting loudest? I don't see enough of them to actually justify us just leaving the room and handing over the world, so to say.